Welcome to the No Name MMA Show, the best damn MMA podcast you've never heard of. My name is Motivated Andy. Thank you for joining me on this lovely January 31st, 2022, where we are recapping this past week in MMA. No UFC, but plenty of MMA to be watched. We had Eagle FC making its American debut. We had Bellator 273 unifying their heavyweight championship. But first, let's get into the headlines leading up into this week. Last week, it was known that Chael Sonnen's charges have been dropped. If you don't know what happened, he had assaulted 5 people. Apparently, they were bullying him and his wife. And undefeated, undisputed, all charges dropped. Chael Sonnen, another one for the bad guy. UFC Columbus has lost its main event between Alexander Rakic and Jan Blachowicz. They are planning to reschedule that. So, tough loss for UFC's first event outside of the Apex that is not a pay-per-view. But it is what it is, and hopefully we get to see it soon. Hall versus Muniz, targeted for April 16th. This is going to be Uriah Hall's 19th walk to the octagon. So yeah, props to the former tough winner. From there, we had a couple of news-related items with UFC, MMA, and Jake Paul. So first, Jake Paul comes out and makes a diss track for Dana White featuring Cris Cyborg, which was ultimately super cringy to the point that my penis almost fell off. Off of that, though, Jake Paul has been offered by Khabib Nurmagomedov a contract to fight for Eagle FC. Any of the important details have not been released, so we don't know what the pay is, we don't know what the stipulations are, we don't know anything. As of right now, I think Khabib is currently waiting for an answer from him, so yeah. But besides that, for actual fighters and veterans, we have a report stating that Cerrone versus Lozon is going to be set for a fight night in April. Both UFC veterans have, I think, 1 or 2 spots, or the number 1 and number 2 spots in UFC fight night bonuses for 155. So hopefully whoever wins this or loses, it doesn't matter. Both of them, win, lose, or draw, should both kind of retire because they're not going to be getting any kind of favorable matchups like this anytime soon. But yeah, we had also Henry Cejudo saying that if Jon Jones were to go out there, he would mop the floor with everybody. He is convinced that nobody has the skills that Jon Jones has. Unfortunately for him, Jon Jones has not moved up to heavyweight for the past 10 years, and I don't know if he will this year either. So, yeah. Also, Clarissa Shields calls for Henry Cejudo to teach her wrestling. Wrestling with her hands, she's gonna be a fucking problem if she keeps on going the way she is. Besides that, for headlines, that is pretty much it. So yeah, let's move on. So Eagle FC 44, first time on American soil. 3 ex-UFC fighters all go out there and get a win. Jorgen De Castro gets a first round sub. Ray Borg has a comeback win with Cody Gibson, where he puts his fucking heart out there and he loses that first round, hands down. Cody Gibson was using his strength. Ray Borg was fighting at 135 because he has been having problems making 125. I don't know how much of a notice he had for this fight, but yeah, that first round was not his, and he goes out there and he becomes a dog for the second round and the third round, and he edges out a victory. He was on a losing streak, again released by the UFC, so him to come back and get that dog win, good for him, in a fight where he definitely gave up a height and reach advantage. So yeah, but for fairy tales, let's talk about Rashad Evans. The 42-year-old has not won a fight since 2013, 8+ years or something, November 2013, 5-fight losing streak. Whenever this fight first got announced, I was like, please don't let him get knocked out. And it was further from that. Rashad Evans put on a fucking wrestling clinic. I cannot be more happy for him. I can't be more happy for Khabib Nurmagomedov. This event was a success in my opinion. And that's not even mentioning the commentary team. You had Kamaru Usman, you had Chael Sonnen, you had Henry Cejudo, and they were just bouncing off each other back to back to back. If there was any silence in the whole broadcast, it was filled with laughter because of a one-liner that Chael Sonnen had. And what a tremendous fumble by any organization that has not hired Chael Sonnen as a commentary booth member, because that man just is relentless. Eagle FC, even if you didn't watch the event, if you were just listening to it, it's worthy for a podcast on itself. Just the stories that they were sharing with each other throughout the night. I thoroughly enjoyed it. Clearly not even close to being one, Ryzen, Bellator, none of that. And it's a very first baby step. I mean, only 44 shows they've had. I can't wait to see what happens next with them. Their next card, I think, is going to be Eagle FC 46 here in the States. 45 is going to be over in Russia. But yeah, 46 is going to be the one that's going to be featuring Kevin Lee and Diego Sanchez. So yeah, stay tuned for that. Hopefully you watch it. Moving on from Khabib Nurmagomedov to Scott Coker and Bellator, we had a couple of interesting matches for two Arizona natives. First, we had Vincent Henderson going out there, not really moving on for Khabib because he was fighting his 20-fight streaking protege. And yeah, Vincent Henderson goes out there. The dude that he was going against had not lost a fight since 2009, and he grinds out a win. This might very well be his last fight under the Bellator banner. It might be his last fight in general. He says that because his wife is pursuing professional MMA, he might be the one that stays at home with the kids. He might also just not be done fighting, just maybe done with Bellator. And Scott Coker kind of shared the same thoughts. So we'll see what happens with Vincent Henderson. Most fighters can't afford the luxury of getting a win on their last fight. So if it is against a prospect that was on a 20-fight losing streak, Khabib's protege, hadn't lost since 2009, that's a pretty good way to go out, if you ask me. But yeah, so moving on from that to the main event of the night, we had Ryan Bader unifying the fucking heavyweight title between him and Valentin Moldavsky. And he goes out there in the first round. I think he was a 2-1 underdog. He had come off of 2 losses, one Vadim Nemkov for the light heavyweight championship, and then Corey Anderson in the Grand Prix. He moves up to heavyweight to defend that belt and unify it. And he lands square on Moldavsky right from the get-go. Huge right hand, almost puts him down. From there, Moldavsky kind of wakes up, takes over the second and the third round, and that has been intimated by the corner for Bader, where they're like, hey, you gotta win these next 2 rounds as you are losing this fight. And Bader immediately catches on, listens to his coaches, goes out there and out-wrestles Moldavsky in the 4th, puts on the grind, and in the 5th, I thought it was pretty even. Moldavsky takes him down for the last half of that round. I thought Moldavsky did enough to win, but the judges all disagreed with me, gave a unanimous decision to Ryan Bader, and I can't argue with that. He had a really good fight against a very game opponent. He was on a losing streak. His prize for unifying the belt, Czech Congo, Paris, May 6th. So yeah, no breaks for Ryan Bader, and Czech Congo is not a great consolation prize, but it is what it is. Ryan Bader at 38 is looking like a fucking dime piece at heavyweight though. In a division where it's notoriously filled with older fighters, I think he's gonna be having a great time. Yeah, that's it for the MMA roundup for January 31st, 2022. If you made it this far in the video, consider liking, subscribing, commenting. Do you think John Jones is gonna make his heavyweight debut this year? I don't know. Jake Paul, are you tired of it? Do you think it garners more attention for fighter pay? I know he's using it for his own means, but still, I mean, talking about fighter payers, talking about fighter pay, nobody else is doing it, right? Yeah, Kevin Holland breaking that troll that was messaging him for 3 months, brings him out, taps him. I don't even know if I talked about this, but yeah, brings him out, keeps him up for the night, goes and taps him, and then gives him a red belly. Kevin Holland's the man. Yeah. What do you think about Bellator? Did you watch this weekend? What do you think about Eagle FC? Did you watch that weekend? So yeah, plenty of stuff going on, and it's a good time to be an MMA fan. From me, Motivated Andy, I'll get you guys next time. Mess with your mental health, and fuck you, John Jones. Peace.